Hi everyone, my name is Maya Inarella, and today I'm going to be giving you a presentation on differentiation and engagement for my class Brain-Based Learning here at Grand Canyon University. So before we start, a little bit about me is I'm a third year first grade inclusion teacher. So me being an inclusion classroom, I have students who have IEPs, 504 who are general ed students, and I also have students in my classroom who are English language learners. So it is a mix of all different kinds of students coming together in one classroom. I'm New York State certified in grades 1 through 6. I have my associate's degree in early childhood education. I have my bachelor's degree in human development, and I have a minor in education. I'm currently working on my master's in elementary education for literacy grades K through 5. So we need to talk about what is brain-based learning. Brain-based learning is using what we know about the brain to help people learn better. It's an approach rooted in the understanding that educational strategies can be optimized when they align with how the brain naturally learns. It's a reminder for us educators to remember that not all brains learn the same and allows us to change our teaching style and adjust lessons to fit the needs of our students that will work best for them. So this means before, during, or after the lesson to always be flexible and accommodating for your students, because what you think may work while you're doing a lesson may not go the way that you planned it to go. So you need to be able to be flexible and accommodate for every child in your classroom. And it's critical that educators understand brain-based learning to ensure their lessons are engaging and incorporate things such as music, movement, to support their students' learning, connecting them to real-life experiences, and making sure the learning environment is a positive and supportive place to be. So in my classroom, I always do callbacks of if a student gets it right, to give them a little like whoop whoop, or something along the lines of being encouraging and supporting of one another. And I also like for math, if we're doing word problems, to connect them to real life, like using the student's name in the problem, or using something like cookies or cars or stickers or something that they're interested in, and it helps them engage in the lesson better. What is differentiation? The root of differentiation is differentiate, which comes from the Latin word differentia, meaning difference or distinction. In its original sense, differentiate refers to becoming different or distinct. Where us as educators adapt our teaching to meet the diverse needs of all of our students' learning styles in the classroom, and it also involves modifying or expanding content based on students' needs and understandings of the curriculum presented to them. So, for an example, a student with an IEP may only do 2 out of 5 questions on a worksheet based on their skills and based on their learning goals in their IEP, whereas a student who we call a high flyer or above grade level needs an early finisher packet or an added activity to the task at hand. How differentiation and brain-based learning relate to one another is that both differentiation and brain-based learning recognize every brain learns differently, requiring flexible and responsive teaching. Both put an emphasis on the importance of creating a supportive and safe environment that encourages students to be able to take risks and be creative. In a classroom like my first grade inclusion room, something such as breaking tasks into small, manageable steps helps all learners to process information better. Instead of giving them all a 5-step direction at one time, breaking it down one step at a time helps them to process what I want them to do better, and so they know what is expected and what they are to do. Using hands-on learning and movement helps to keep our learners engaged and helps them to stay focused, such as like tapping out words in a phonics lesson, using your arm, using hand motions, putting words together, taking away sounds, things like that, and using repetition and routine and movement to help students grasp new skills will help to improve attention as well as support self-regulation for students. So in something like ELA, if you're doing short vowels and A says ah, I have them go like this, pretending to eat an apple, so now they always remember that A says ah, like you're eating an apple. Differentiation strategies to implement in the classroom: use songs, visuals, call and response, and hands-on tools to teach concepts. Give choice in how students know what they know. Example, draw, write, or turn and talk. So if it's a read aloud and it's a chapter book in first grade, there's not a lot of pictures, so I tell my students to visualize. And after I'm done reading the chapter, they can talk to a partner, they can write about what they think they saw in the story, or draw what they visualized in their head that goes along with what I read. Grouping students by skill or interest for activities, incorporating movement breaks throughout instruction and during transition times, especially for the little ones. This is crucial because their attention spans are shorter than an upper grade classroom, so having them move around keeps them engaged and helps them to transition better instead of having them just sit for long periods of time. And break tasks into small steps while giving clear and explicit directions, and use frequent check-ins to adjust instruction as needed. Moving on to engagement. So what is engagement? When students are both mentally and emotionally invested in their learning, they're actively participating through thinking, interacting, and doing. Students are motivated, curious, and willing to take risks in this learning. As an educator, it's important that we plan engaging lessons, to be thoughtful about the age group of children that we're teaching. Think about where they're at in their own education journey, what their interests are, and being intentional while we're teaching the lesson. The more engaged and excited we are about teaching our students, they will feed off of our energy and hopes, returning the same excitement to learn. So how engagement and brain-based learning relate to one another. Students learn better when they are interested in having fun. Moving, talking, and doing activities helps the brain stay active and focused. Brain-based learning uses fun tools such as stories, games, and music to keep students engaged. And creating a work in music, words, or any other art discipline helps students practice thinking creatively and recognize how parts of a work influence each other and interact. So engagement strategies to implement in the classroom: use songs, chants, and rhymes to teach and review concepts. Something in first grade, they learn the vowels, so the tune to the song Bingo for the vowels has helped my students. Repeat after me when I'm teaching students in whole group and small group. Something in my reading groups, teaching them that the author writes the story and the illustrator draws the picture. I would say repeat after me and say what I just said and use some hand motions, and then change the tone or the volume of my voice to help them remember what they're learning. Adding movement breaks and learning games to keep energy up. Give choices in student centers. Use hands-on materials like counters, letter blocks, and drawing tools, and keep the lesson short and interactive with a lot of student talk and participation. A real-life example of differentiation and engagement stations in my classroom for math, I use manipulatives for adding and counting at different levels. Jack Hartman is a great one on YouTube for movement and learning breaks. We did equal or not equal this week, so he has a video where they would need to count blocks, and they either do the equal sign or an X with their hands if they're not equal. Math games to practice number skills. iReady program at my school to work on individual student needs. Whole group teaching and small group with teacher for support or challenge. And a real life example of differentiation and engagement stations in my classroom for ELA. I do whole group read alouds. Jack Hartman again with movement and learning breaks. Small group work with teacher for reading or phonics help. There's a website called Epic for audiobooks for children specific reading levels, and if they are struggling to read, they do have options to listen to the stories. And word work with letter tiles or flashcards and with movement. Just some things to remember. Every brain learns differently, and that's okay. Keep learning active with hands-on, fun, talking, and movement. Make small changes for all types of learners, auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. Make a big impact. Repetition and routine help young students' brains grow stronger every single day. Relationships with your students is key. Children learn best when they feel safe, heard, and seen. Stay flexible and positive. Learning looks different for everyone, and any sort of improvement for any student is a win. Celebrate their growth no matter how big or how small, whether a student goes up 2 reading levels or a student can read one book fluently for the first time. Every improvement for students is a win, so be sure to celebrate that, and it will help the bond with your students and it'll help them feel confident and want to keep trying. Thank you.